Hi, I'm Miranda Valentine, editor of the lifestyle blog Everything Sounds Better in French, and today I'm going to show you how to make basic roasted butternut squash. So this is such a tasty, tasty side dish, and if you're used to cooking with potatoes, consider mixing it up a little bit with the bright and colorful butternut squash. So I've got our ingredients all laid out here. We have 1 pound of peeled and chopped butternut squash into these nice little like 3/4 of an inch to 1 inch cubes. Now I purchased mine already pre-peeled and cubed because it's just easy and saves a little bit of time. But if you're doing it at home, all you'll need to do is just peel it with a vegetable peeler. You're gonna cut it in half lengthwise, scoop out those seeds, and then chop it on up. But if you wanna skip that part and save a little time, do as I did and just buy the pre-cubed. Then we also have just a little squeeze of lemon juice. That's optional in this recipe. Also just a little dash of pepper. We have 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt, and you can increase that to taste if you want. And then we have 2 to 3 tablespoons of olive oil. I started with 2. We just wanted to give it a nice coat here because we don't want it to dry out. If we have to add a little bit more, we can certainly do that. Here I have a lovely little baking sheet lined with parchment paper. My oven is preheated behind me at 475 degrees. So what I'm going to start to do is combine our cubed butternut squash here in this medium-sized bowl. Let's drizzle in our olive oil. And again, we just wanted enough to coat, so if you don't have to use the whole 2 tablespoons, don't. But let's just check it out and see how it's doing. Looks good. And because the butternut squash is always a little bit wet, you'll notice that, especially when you're peeling it will get a little bit slippery, almost like sweat. That's kind of how it feels. It'll obviously look glistening, so you may want to use a little bit more olive oil. You know what I mean? Like be on the safe side just so you're sure that it's getting nice and olive oily good. Put in our salt, our lemon juice, and our pepper. Gotta have the pepper. And just give it another little toss here in this bowl. And if you find that your vegetables, when you're roasting them, do dry out, you can always drizzle them with a little bit of olive oil at the end and sort of bring some life back into them. You don't have to be stuck with dry vegetables. Don't you worry about that. All right, let's pop it on our parchment-lined sheet here. And we're just gonna evenly spread this out. You want everything to be able to evenly cook. If it's all piled like this, our little guys in the middle are gonna have a harder time. And if you want them to get kind of goldeny brown roasted, you really wanna just spread it out for easy roasting. Now as a quick note, the rack in the oven, I've moved it right in the center. So you want it to be in the center when you're roasting so everything can cook nice and easily. Okay, now I'm gonna pop it in and I'm gonna cook it for 15 minutes on this one side. Then I'm gonna go in there and kind of flip them all over and let them cook for an additional 10 to 15 minutes until nice and tender and a little bit crispy. So we'll come back then. Okay, so my butternut squash roasted for 20 minutes. Look how gorgeous it is. It's still like nice and soft on the inside, but we have that kind of like crunchy golden brown yumminess on the outside. This is the part now, remember that lemon juice is optional, so if you wanna add it in, which I think will give it a nice little zing, we're just gonna drizzle it on top now. Just a little drizzle. And then I know we already put some salt and pepper in, but we're gonna do a little bit more to taste. So, you know, if you really like salt, you might wanna do a little bit more. If you don't, you can leave it out. It's always the thing, you know, when doing something to taste, it's to your taste. And just remember, it's a lot easy to add more in, but you can't really take any out. So just sort of consider that. We're gonna give it one nice little toss. And if you wanted to like jazz this up a little bit, you could toss it now in some sort, you know, sort of like a flavored butter, like melt that on top, a flavored sea salt. You could eat it as is, in a side dish, put it in some pasta, in a soup. There are so many things you can do. So simple to make, nutritious, absolutely delicious, tons and tons of uses. That's how you make basic roasted butternut squash. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe. And if there's something that you want to learn how to make, send me an email at requests@mahalo.com. And don't forget to check out our other great videos.